Welcome, welcome. Dr. Stephen Hobbs here from the Wealth Movement. This is Wellther series number 3 of 3 with Jana Danielson. And we've got her on board to take a look at and hear about the E of the ENT model that we've been sharing so far. So just to bring you up to date, E is for entrepreneur, M is for manager, and T is for technician. And we've had a little bit of a conversation around T in video 1, M was video number 2, and we're in the video number 3 looking at E right now. And the entrepreneurial perspective is that to get to that point, I know I went through a lot of different E's in my life, but it wasn't until probably about 2 years ago when I really got it and started to set some things up. So we're going to explore that in our conversation. So Jana and I had a little bit of a conversation to set some of this up, and she might even ask me a couple of questions about things that I've chatted with her about over the last number of months as well. But to start off with, I think what would be great is to hear, when did you know that you had actually moved from T to M and into E? What was it, that situation? How did you know I'm in the E world?
Okay, so I guess, as you know, if you've listened to part 1 and part 2, you know that my journey started out in my basement. I was a human resource consultant, started teaching Pilates, moved to our first studio, and then about 2 years into that experience of a commercial space, we decided to expand our business. And I say ours, I mean, my husband and I are partners in it. He has his own business, but it really is mine, but I still like to use ours. When we were going through a bit of a business plan process, when we were thinking about the expansion, and we started looking at what did we want this business to be, what was the vision. We knew we didn't want 2 locations. We wanted one larger location. We pulled in some partners to be a part of this with us. And over about a 4-month period, the 4 partners that came on board with us for lots of different reasons all melted away. And it was scary as hell because it was Jason and I were the last men standing. And when you are going into a very large expansion, not only square footage, but also dollar signs, and you're counting on the influx of partnership dollars to make that happen, and bit by bit they go away, there really was this, come to Jesus, come to the creator moment where we're like, okay, we really can't go back. And we have to go forward. So it was in that moment of it wasn't like a single moment, but over about a 2 or 3 week period where we both went from, like, we felt like we were going to throw up at the drop of a hat to, no, you know what? Maybe this was meant to happen this way, to going to search out more funding, to having a young mid-20s banker sit across the table from you and tell you you don't have, the business experience and the expertise. And it was like, no. And then we ended up with one bank that did believe in our vision. It was in that 3-week period that the hobby, the passion was still there, but it was like, there was something new about it. It wasn't just me and 6 or 7 people. The vision for this place in its full capacity is 30 to 40 people, creating an environment in the city that's going to make people have higher quality of lives. Like, there was this bigger purpose. And I think it was through that phase of 3 weeks that there was a shift.
Right. Well, that's great. So the technician piece is really about, I got to do it. I got to enjoy what I'm doing what I'm enjoying. The manager is working in that to make sure the systems all work. Yes, when the light switch goes on, oh, there's light. Oh, yes, the key's in the door does open, these kind of things. But it's that entrepreneur is working on it. So your experience in those 3 weeks was all of a sudden getting up and looking on the business and going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of no's, but now I got this yes. Why did I get the yes? Why did I get the no's? Start to bring it together and really truly understand it. So this phrase of working on it, that would be an important insight, would it not?
Very much so. And I think it, I probably should have been, if looking back, had I been working on it like a year before, maybe things would have been different. I think things happen the way they should, like I said before. But when you can understand the difference between the two, and like you said, working on it versus working in it, there are going to be some weeks. Like, I mean, I've had instructors get sick where all of a sudden, you know what, I am teaching 12 or 15 classes in a week, and that's just a function of that. But let me tell you, when there becomes weeks and weeks and weeks of in it versus on it, I'm a firm believer in this 90-day sales process, that if you're not planting seeds and nurturing new business, 3 months from now, you're going to think, why are things so flat here? Why isn't my phone ringing? What's going on? And so understand that when those moments where you do get pulled operationally back into your business, you need to be aware of what it's doing, I guess, strategically at the same time. And, I mean, I've learned a few hard lessons that way, but now I know I've got to, if I have to go into my business, then I just do. If I have to carve out extra time on a Saturday, or just to get the 40,000 foot view, that's what I have to do.
Yeah. Well, for many, many, many years, because I'm a creator, I develop things and systems. I thought that what I was going to do is, as I got older, I would get to a point in my life where I'd be laying in bed, I'd have my pen in my hand, and I'd be going, and I think that's about all I have to. And I go, and I started to reflect on that, and I went, hang on a minute. That's like taking a business, and it comes from just a pure place of practice. What would happen if I came from my business from a place of being an entrepreneur who's going to exit my business and actually pass my business on? That's a different kind of legacy story.
Absolutely.
Right? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of actually where I am, or where I have been for the past year. I mean, I love my business. I sometimes explain it like my fourth child. And when we get new staff on, I'll think, oh, I wonder how they're doing. Are they talking to our clients like we need to? It literally is like a living, breathing part of me. However, I want at some point something different for myself. I've got a new vision for me. And, our boys right now are in grade 8, 10, and 12. And I know when Tommy graduates, both my husband and I, in 5 years, we would love to be able to have a little more flexibility on where we're doing business. I don't want to retire per se and pack it in, but I would love to be able to have a little more freedom in what I'm doing, and especially where I'm doing it. And this is where this whole concept of taking what I do, pieces of what I do, and bringing it to an online forum. And so the Meta District is my new baby, my fifth baby. And it's something that I am nurturing and chipping away at slowly, because there's a 5-year growth plan for that. But I'm doing it now. It's kind of like when I trained my instructors before we opened the doors. I'm starting to nurture this new part of me, this new business now, because when I bring closure to the bricks and mortar, I don't want to just be starting the process like, oh, what now? Because I still think I have tons to offer. And so that's the what's next, at least for now. That's what I'm thinking, what's next. And you know what it does, as I've looked forward to this new world, the new vision, it makes me work harder on this business to make sure that the systems are there, the metrics are there. So when it's time to find a buyer, whether it's an internal buyer or someone external, there it is. And you can choose if this is something you want to purchase. And if it is, then there's the transition.
And that's a great example, because you're thinking about where you're going to go. You're also post thinking about selling it. So there's lots of different variables that are playing around in that. And yes, that comes from an on perspective, not an in perspective.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think the other thing for entrepreneurs to understand is that I and I went through this when I went on my maternity leaves. You get so defined by what you do that when I would go on my maternity leaves, there was this sense of loss a little bit because I no longer had that title in that organization. I was on maternity leave. And it was hard the first time because I was 100% defined by my degrees and what I did for the university. That experience has kind of given me new insight into, yes, I'm Jana, the founder and owner of Lead Pilates and Lead Integrated Health Therapies, but part of the legacy is that when I walk out these doors on the last day, whenever that day is, I will know with my head and my heart and my soul that all the minutes of blood, sweat, and tears I put into this place have been worth it because so many lives have been changed. And for even for me and my family, our lives have been changed because of this. And then it's just the next chapter. And hopefully there will be another chapter after the Meta District.
Yeah. So it's very much, there's that legacy story is there.
Mm-hmm.
You can up that legacy story. And I think where you're going, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that by going online and all that, you could actually start to influence people who are running similar kind of businesses to help them run their businesses to gain efficiencies.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Absolutely.
You could go on and help the instructors to become better at how they are instructors, but you don't need to be in the bricks and mortar. You can be online, being in a beach in Cancun to being in a beautiful hotel in Bali and still doing what it is you want to do, and having people come and visit you in Bali where you are rather than going to them. So that's the I'm going to use the nested Russian doll inside the Russian doll, right? The nested systems that are important, because you start with the technician and get it, manage it, entrepreneur, and then figure out, well, do I build on that one in a sense and put a nested, or hang on a minute, I'm going to create another one. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts about that part of it? Is that what you're doing?
That you know what, you really, in a very succinct way, that's exactly what I'm doing. And the cool thing about this, what I didn't realize even like 2 months ago, is that, and you touched on it and you reminded me of it, is that I'm already starting to leverage some of my new, because the learning curve online business is very different than bricks and mortar. So just because you're good at one doesn't mean you have the recipe for the other. And so the learning curve has actually been quite steep in the world of online business. And, but I'm already starting to connect the dots with some of the strategies that I'm using in my online business for my end users to how can I leverage this, like you said, for your staff. So little training videos. I even have my manager right now, instead of sending like from a process perspective, sending emails, she's doing it over video. And we can see when the rest of the team watches them, they can be somewhat interactive with them. And so the learning actually can be much more real time and personal, a little bit less, less open for interpretation, because I believe that verbal communication is kind of key to making people understand what your message is. The other thing it's doing is I'm already seeing some conversion of my current clients into online clients. And so just like how I started teaching out of my home and then went to kind of my first commercial space where I already have this committed following of people, I'm seeing it kind of show itself again, that that process is happening again, where clients that have understood, what does LEAD stand for, what does Jana stand for, what are her values, oh, she's doing this now online, I trust her here, therefore I should see what she's doing here. And you know what, I'm going to tell my friends in the States or in England what she's doing online too. So there are so many synergies. And even though there's nesting of one Russian doll into the other, there's two dolls, there's still, pieces sometimes fit on each other from the other.
Yeah. So I'm thinking one of the ways to summarize it, in your basement, you did an EMT. So then E of that one moved you into the bricks and mortar, which gave you another EMT or TME. Okay.
Yeah.
That's now giving you another TME for your online business and where that might go. Now, the great thing is you don't have to give up your bricks and mortar. because you could leave a CEO there or
Absolutely.
COO there and operate that. And quote, they talk about that could be your passive income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, again, you mentioned something really important that I want to make sure our listeners understand is that, you know, the T and the M and the E are not, they're not separate from each other. And you might, as the entrepreneur, flow into T to be able to find a little bit of a different E or a different shape E. And that's what my experience has been. And that's what keeps it interesting and fun. Because I think entrepreneurs are wired a little bit different. I think we get bored in maintenance mode. And this way it can kind of keep us on our toes sharp, always, you know, experiencing something new.
Well, I remember you telling me that you're taking a new modality, learning a new modality. So you're way back, right back there in that old technician world, going, okay, I got to learn how do I do, right? You haven't even figured out how you're going to fully put it into the entrepreneurial role, but you've got some inkling because you're going to move online. You could take this into the online world. So that's just another example of what we're talking about. True?
It is. And you know, this course I've been taking, it's online and I have to go for 1 week actually to the States next week to finish my capstone course. But it has been so refreshing to actually be a student again, because I'm at the point now where I am the trainer, I am the facilitator, I am the leader, so to be able to just sit and take notes and do exams, and it's refreshing because I love to learn. And like you said, I don't know exactly where I'm going to fit this in yet. Will it be new classes? Will it be, I don't know. But I know that it's a skill that I don't have, and I'm excited to kind of wrap it up and be able to see where does it fit.
Yeah. And I like that because that's a great connection, because sometimes we forget, well, I'll just keep doing what it is that I'm doing. Well, often you keep getting what you always got. There's that phrase that's out there. But if you keep bringing in some new ideas, playing with the technician, playing with the manager, playing with the E, and what I call dancing,
Yeah.
right? The dance to those things, you stand a much better chance of creating a business that is aligned with what you enjoy.
Yeah.
But it also allows you to create a business that you can sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may want to get completely out of what it is you were doing and do something completely different. Like you talked about maybe traveling or something. Pilates, becoming a travel blog writer.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we've already been dabbling in some Pilates retreats. We've done 3 of those in Mexico, and those have just kind of been like a side project. But so, you know, tons and tons of opportunities.
Great. All right, so we're getting close to wrapping up this video, and thank you very much, because I think hitting some really great points here around the world of the E. Is there any insight that you would like the listeners to sort of grab a hold of? Could be EMT, it could be M, could be T, could be E. What is something that you'd like to go out with on this video that says, folks, pay attention to this?
Okay, that's a big question. So, folks, pay attention to this. I think I'll use a story from my boys. I have lots of stories, and so um, we were driving down the street one day, and Tommy would have been maybe 5 or 6 years old then, and there was a lady running down the street, and she was jogging, but her posture wasn't great, right? So she was running, but her head was down, and Tommy said to me, "Mom, look at how that lady's running. If there was a monster coming towards her, she wouldn't see that monster coming and he would capture her." So in his little 5-year-old head, he was like, oh my gosh, why aren't you looking down the road to see what's coming at you if you're only looking right in front of you? And I think that the looking right in front of us happens whether you are in the T, in the M, and sometimes even when we're in the E, we can get pulled into that, whether it's status quo or when you're just trying to maybe eliminate some of the chaos. But like that lady running down our street, when you look ahead, and not just a block ahead or the next street light, but when you look on the horizon and maybe see, a bluff of trees, there might be something that catches your attention, and you're not going to run there today, but put it in your back pocket, because you never know when you're going to reach back there and think, hey, I remember this. And when you're ready to see it, that means that there's something valuable to pay attention to.
Well, that's wonderful. And there's two things I would pull from that. If you're not looking up, you don't know if the rainstorm's going to get you or not.
Exactly.
And two, an adult has not learned everything until a child has taught them something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that, Jana, I'd just like to say thank you very much for sharing your insights about EMT. And folks, as time goes by, I'm going to poke in to Jana's business and life and say, let's jump on another video and do it live if we can, and just do a catch up and see where she's at with her EMT story. So, Jana?
That would be awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Stephen.
Thank you, thank you. And I wish you well. All right?
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.